Fasten your seatbelts.
Last man standing.
What's up, people? Addy Ads here. Addican. I'm here with the one and only George Webb and Detroit Dave Underdown. And today we're going to be discussing the class action lawsuit that we are now pursuing against YouTube. And there are other YouTubers that have opened up their own lawsuits against YouTube. But George is going to kind of help us with the explanation of the legality of how these different lawsuits can actually be potentially combined into one large class action lawsuit against YouTube. So it's Tuesday. It is the 27th of October, 2020, and we're here live at the Swing State Studios here at the Neighborhood News Hour in Michigan. We got a few people checking in already. Dolly, Koyak, thanks for tuning in. But I just wanted to welcome you guys for coming today. It's early afternoon, I believe, just after midday, and we're going to be talking class action lawsuits today, George.
Yeah. So for those who are not familiar with the YouTube purge that Addy did a nice trailer this morning that talked about this, but all these stations have been knocked down. And the reason why YouTube felt, and our station here at Neighborhood News Hour was knocked down, and we're slightly different than their lawsuit. Their lawsuit is a YouTube channel's lawsuit. And even though our channel was knocked down, ours is a little different because we're a YouTube journalist's channel. And I'll explain the difference. But their channels their channels, SGT Report, Next 22, and Pragmatic, and all those guys, we're pretty closely affiliated with Q, and we're not affiliated with Q. And there was a vote in the House of Representatives to condemn Q, condemn it as hate speech, and so forth. And we just don't feel there's very good ground there for our lawsuit. Our lawsuit doesn't have anything to do with Q. We're not Q people. We think it's total freedom of speech for the Q people. That's all well and good. We have to distance ourselves from that for our standing, which is journalism. And if you think about it, this place here is a safe haven for journalists to come from all over the country. We had people come from California, we had people come from Texas, Illinois, South Carolina, Florida, Massachusetts, Wisconsin. Addy, you're from Wisconsin, Maryland, from all over the country and other countries, Canada. We've had to the different newsrooms, we've had people from all over the world also contribute. So we have 3 different classes in our class action lawsuit. I've done 2 class action lawsuits before. If in Imran Awan's plea deal, that's the only reason our cases were mooted. There was never any point in time out of the not hundreds, but dozens of motions I filed that we ever had anything thrown out by the court or admonished by the court. So they're 2 separate things. We're YouTube journalists. Their case is really more YouTube channels. And I hope we can get into taking questions and see the differences here. But I just wanted to draw that distinction right off the bat and why there's 2 separate lawsuits.
And we have a GoFundMe set up right now, George. Is that true?
We have a GoFundMe, and we're not. The 501(c) here is a 501(c) called Teach on the Beach. And I'll just move this over this way again. Sorry about the camera going back and forth, but you see the big camera there. And I'm just doing the automatic. So the 501(c) is filing. It's Neighborhood News Hour and Teach on the Beach are the 2 corporations. been in business since 2013. Thousands of children have been educated by this organization. Thousands, two orphanages in Africa. So this is not we've done, everyone here has been doing Veterans Affairs work, saving veterans mortgages, animal therapy for veterans. So this is very much a real nonprofit that really has educated thousands of people for free, and educating them on the news and current events. So this isn't really a more of a Q thing. This is journalism thing, a J thing, I guess. Q versus J. And like Addy mentioned, if the court wants to combine the two classes, if the court sees that the fact pattern is the same, that the witnesses are going to be the same, the plaintiffs are going to be the same, the court can combine the two lawsuits. But until then, we were not named as plaintiffs in their case. I have to protect the rights of all YouTube citizen journalists around the world. That's what Aaron wants to do, at Aaron Adler, who runs the neighborhood newsroom, and that's why there's two separate lawsuits. Go ahead.
John O'Laughlin just joined us, so I'm going to add him to the stream.
Yeah, bring in John. Hey, John.
Hey, what's up, guys? Just saw you were live and thought I'd pop in and say, hey, thanks for all your hard work and never give up.
Well, John, we're filing today a spoliation notice, and I'll put Addy here. We're filing a spoliation notice. I'm still getting a little backwards on how to run that, but we're filing a spoliation notice against YouTube, a Delaware corporation, LLC, and also filing against Google as the owner of the corporation. Let me see if I can get us both in the shot there. And I'll just, I keep doing this.
Man the camera and you speak.
Well, hopefully that'll work. But John, we saw, of course, your channel was destroyed, and all your work over the last almost 2 years was destroyed, just like ours was. So we are moving ahead and filing a class action. And we thought of you. We thought of Farmer Jones as attorneys, and I don't think that's a smart idea that they mess with these Georgetown trial lawyers.
Well, George, what court did you choose to file it in?
We're going to file in the federal district court where Dave Underdown here. I'm going to just take this because it's
easier.
Yeah, it's easier. The same court that Dave Underdown was doing all his legal filings in Detroit, in the District of Detroit. I believe that's our district.
Okay.
Eastern
District of Michigan, right?
Michigan. Because we declared this is kind of a safe haven or a sanctuary city, if you will, for YouTube journalists all over the world to come to. That's why we're filing that's why we're going to apply here for the jurisdiction. Dave has the jurisdiction there, which is the
Eastern District of Michigan.
Eastern District of Michigan. And I believe that includes Monroe County.
Did you want me to pull this up?
Yeah, bring that up.
Have you checked out the judges there that you might run into?
Well, it's got to be better than Washington, D.C. I mean, Rudy Contreras is over there at a party with Lisa Page and Peter Strzok, and I named Lisa Page and Peter Strzok in my FBI CIA lawsuit. And here's the lawsuit, John, that was filed yesterday in California for the Q folks, for the Q channel folks. We're filing a separate lawsuit, a separate class action, because ours is a little bit more journalism focused rather than that's more sort of, it's just more Q and more Q follower type related.
Well, darn, I unfortunately wasn't aware you guys were going to file. And as soon as I saw they filed it, I didn't know they were Q. I just thought, wow, we've got to defeat this YouTube censorship. So I sent them $100, man.
Yeah.
and now I guess I got to send you $100 too. Well,
you don't have to send us any money, John. You've given us a lot. Just give us some free legal advice.
I was going to say, intellectual capital will take it, John.
I gotta support my bros, man, and my.
We need your legal expertise more than ever, John. So we need your.
Well, I tell you one thing, the Screaming Ospreys are in the house, man. We are.
There they are. Yeah, there they are. Well, and well, they've left Cobb Island, but they're still probably somewhere around,
Oh,
Florida.
they're all over the world, George. They're everywhere.
Yeah,
The
that's true.
screaming ospreys will never be defeated.
Yeah,
We're all over the world, and you're one of them. You're pretty big osprey, man.
yeah, and so are you. So are
Yeah.
you. I almost got shat on by a gigantic seagull today, but it missed me, and I named it Google. so every day I'm going to go say hi to Google, and I'm going to take a slingshot with me. Just kidding. I love animals.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I love animals. But yeah, we're going to file. We started a GoFundMe, and we're going to be very transparent all along the way of what we're doing. So like the first $450 is going to go to the filing fee. So everyone who contributes is going to know every step along the way. We're going to try to avoid litigation and expensive legal lookups and paralegals and all that, just like we did with the DNC lawsuit. And I think when you go with a big law firm, as you know, John, working with a big law firm, you have to pay. You have to pay a big, huge retainer up front, and then you don't even know what your chances are. We've had consultations with a very major law firm here that had to recuse themselves because of the work they do for the parties in question. But they said you have a very good case because it is a free speech case, but not just a free speech case, a freedom of the press, which is different. So we're going to be looking at the freedom of the press cases in our preparing the case. We're going to crowdsource the lawsuit because we can. That's what we are. We're journalists who share and are transparent all along the way. And you've been a tremendous help to me all through this as well, John. And I feel horrible about your channel.
You remember when we first met, George, and you were filing all these lawsuits pro se, and I was afraid, oh God, this guy's going to get in trouble. I better help him. So I went and renewed my DC law practice license, and I've still got it. I've kept Maryland and DC are active. But to be honest with you, the best thing I can do is stay behind the scenes and help you guys with technical questions without appearing as official counsel, because that way you guys are pro se and the judge has a legal obligation to help you. And plus, it's the kind of thing that as a lawyer, once you get involved in, you're looking at, 60-hour weeks for forever, because they will paper you to death.
Yeah.
So, but here, this is the bright side. Number one, if Biden wins, then nobody's going to win this lawsuit. But Trump's going to win. And when Trump wins, he's going to fix the FCC, and he's going to fix these administrative agencies that are keeping YouTube fat and happy. And I think YouTube is starting to see that they're going to be going out of business. What I saw when I went and looked at monetization on my backup channel, there was a note on it. It said, monetization is not available in your area. In my area, well, that means they're not monetizing a whole area of the country now. And to me, that means they're getting ready to pull the plug generally. I think YouTube is seeing that they're losing. I think YouTube is going to go down, and I think you guys are going to win a nice verdict after President Trump is reelected.
Yeah, and John, we know that the class action piece we can't use, and just if you wouldn't mind doing the camera. We know the class action piece requires an attorney. We've already talked to Farmer Jones. He's all ready to come in pro hac vice, as it were, or even in on the initial filing. So what I learned from my previous class actions was I can go in pro se with X number of John Does. We won't have the problem I had with the DNC lawsuit with 435 John Does and 435 Jane Does, because we have 12 people here that were directly affected that we can name, 12 people from 12 different states. So we have diversity, which was always a problem. I had to try to get diversity before, but now I have diversity and I also have numerosity. Numerosity was a problem. I had to go recruit and get numerosity before. So two of the key tests for the class action, we've got right off the bat. And if you add in our other newsroom simulations where we invited YouTube journalists to come in, and the ones you held with me in Maryland and the one we did in California, it's an even bigger group. So I'm going to be, I had 4 classes that I outlined in the DNC lawsuit. I'm going to be doing 3 classes at least here, maybe 4, which is one, all the journalists that were affected with this most recent shutdown, a larger class, which is all the people who came to our newsroom simulations in person, an even larger class of anyone who's ever helped us with research over the 4 years on my channel and the 2 years on your channel, Mark Kulak's channel, as a collective, if you want to be named as a plaintiff. And then the even larger group, which is anybody who's ever acted as a YouTube journalist for YouTube. So, we're damages. I think $1 per view is not unreasonable. You said you had 1.5 million views. How much money did you have to spend to get that view? I had 26 million views. I think $1 per view is quite conservative. So initial damages we're looking at are probably $1 a view.
Oh, you can do better than that. You just get an economist to come in. An economist can run the numbers for you and say, you know what? We're going to go with the actual going concern value of this enterprise. You had a business going there, and it's not just the past events. It's the future potential that you had, and to say this was on a path to grow to 1 million views within 5 years. That is the kind of thing I would say is going to give you a huge verdict. I had forgotten that you need to have a lawyer for a class action, but it's true. And if Farmer Jones will do it, I mean, jump on it. He's a litigator, and I've been out of litigation for almost 10 years now. So that would be fabulous if he would do it. But maybe you can also look at local law schools.
Yeah.
There may be some legal aid kids there. There are law students that are willing to come in and under their professor's guidance and offer you some help with it. But God bless you for filing it and doing all this work. I hope that we have a successful election. I'm just everything right now is riding on the election, and I'm obviously a little shaken up from what they've done. You've had this experience and worse than me. But my goodness, all that reading I did is it's like I got to pick those books up and start over. It's a daunting thing. So I think after the election, I think that things are going to change, that YouTube will probably back down and put our channels back up because they'll know they lost. It's about the shutdown. It's about the lockdown. It's really, they're just trying to keep everybody locked down so that they can get into into the next phase of their totalitarian plans. It's really frightening.
Yeah. So comment here from Connie Bevan. I'm willing to contribute to your lawsuit, just not through GoFundMe. Is there an address we can give out? George, I know Aaron Adler isn't here.
Yeah, I'll contact her directly. Okay. So if you don't want to do GoFundMe, that's great. Tom, one of our plaintiffs, has just joined us. Hey, Tom.
Dave had I had a technical question about the lawsuit for John. Just with the notification from YouTube, they said that they left it quite vague, and I'm just curious about what their responsibility is as far as instructing the user on what the terms of service are, so that just to give them the opportunity to maybe modify their show to meet the terms. I feel like that opportunity wasn't given, so I'm just curious what your understanding is of their terms and the policy that they use when they take channels down.
Well, they used to have a policy, and that's when I got in YouTube jail. So when I was first got a strike from YouTube, they sent me a procedure that I could follow. I could file an appeal. I did. It was rejected immediately, but there was an appeal procedure. And they said, this is going to be for a week. And you are now going to have a community guidelines strike on you, but you can still go ahead and do your shows. Then they said if you got 2 strikes, then you would lose for a month. And if you got 3 strikes, then they would take you down. Well, I only had 1 strike, but yet they took me down without any explanation whatsoever. They just said terminated due to violation of terms of service, period. So I'd say that unless the law steps in with freedom of speech, that they've written their contracts in such a way as to allow them to just be dictators. And that's clearly what they want to do. So I would say there's no hope in appealing to YouTube anymore. They are done. And I'm going to stay on my McDuff _2020, at least through the election, if they'll let me. But my hope is to get up running on the same channel with you guys at the brand new tube as soon as possible. Right now, I'm just kind of reorganizing. I'm republishing my most recent videos. We're going to be putting them up on screamingospreys.com. And I'm just going to continue. My shows will be on McDuff _2020 until further notice. So please join us. I'll be here tonight at 8 p.m.
Hey, John, just one point of clarification before you go. I can file in lieu of getting representation until discovery. So it took me a year to get discovery, and I never had to come up with counsel because my decisions were mooted by the deal that they did with Imran Awan. So we don't need to file. We're not going to wait to file. But we will. Farmer Jones has already said he will carry us through. But it's nice to have some firepower like yourself behind you. And I think Tom wanted to say something to you before you go. So he's a big fan of yours. So
you bet. How you doing? And we're all in this thing together, and I think it'll work out fine through the expertise of the community here, so to speak, of journalists. And it's just really, it's all of us sticking together, and later on probably getting together, for this class action that's going to carry us through. And I just think that they're trying to mess things up before the election. George has been saying that right along, and then all this hits. They're just trying to shut down the people, and without good reason. And until after the election, then they might come to their senses and say, "Oh, well, we're turning everybody back on, and we don't want to carry through this." But where do we go from there? We'll see when that time comes, I'd say.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. All right, John. Well, thank you very much for joining us. It was an unexpected pleasure, and we want to encourage everybody to go to McDuff tonight at 8 o'clock and support John through this trying time. I can tell you how much effort John puts in behind the scenes. For every hour you see, there's about 8 hours of research, maybe more, that goes in that he puts into his shows. It's not as easy as it looks. So thank you, John.
Hey, I got a new motto for McDuff.
What's that?
My channel is FFZ now, fascism free zone. It's a fascism free zone.
Okay, all right. Maybe we'll rename our autonomous zone here to the McDuff zone. I like that. It's kind of like the MacGyver files, the McDuff zone. You're now in the McDuff zone where truth reigns. Yeah, and we'll build out. We'll start here at the Neighborhood News Hour, and we'll build out. So, by the way, Donald Trump Jr. says hi. Everybody here saw Donald Trump and shook his hand yesterday and said hi for McDuff. So there you have it.
All right, guys. Carry on. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Steve, John.
So that was nice. Unexpected. We got someone else over here in the corner. Let's see what we got. Who that is.
Do they want to be in?
Yeah, I think so. Let's add them. Let's see what they say. Let's take calls if they want to.
Hop on in.
Hello. How are you?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, I'm talking to you. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Kyra Moore, and I abandoned the U.S. for Costa Rica a year and a half ago.
Oh, wow.
You're a smart one.
Tell us your story, Kyra.
Well, that's tough.
Well, let me ask you
I don't know where to
specific question. Well, how long have you been watching Addy ads? How about that? Or George, or me, or that's me, or John?
I think it was around 2016 that I started watching you.
Okay.
And I started watching Addy just a few months ago.
What do you think? You think the kid has potential?
Definitely.
Okay.
Thank you, Kyra.
He's better looking, that's for sure. No arguments there. So, what do you think about this YouTube shutdown? Do you see it for what it is, this YouTube purge?
Yes, I see it as censorship from the neoliberal left, which isn't a real left. And it's really frightening what's happening on YouTube and Twitter, people's voices being shut down. But when I was campaigning for Bernie Sanders in 2015 and 2016, my Facebook account and Twitter account were shut down quite a few times. Even though I didn't use any profanity or anything, I was just using facts.
Yeah, I remember I had a whole class in my lawsuit. I gave to Bernie 3 times. Bernie turned radically left since then. He was talking about jobs. He was talking about the Midwest and factories that were going to China. And now he's just talking about some communist thing now. But back then, he was talking about people like Tom here, who spent their lives making cars, okay, and working at Ford Motor Company, right?
Right.
And that's who I cared about. Those are the people that I grew up with at International Harvester in Fort Wayne. I saw the decimation, and that's who I filed the lawsuits for. So this is not a left-right thing. This is not a left-right thing. This is a truth thing. This is the ability to get the truth out. And you remind me, being down there in Costa Rica, that we've also declared ourselves an autonomous zone so that we can file in the World Court, the International Court of Justice. So even if we lose in the U.S. courts, we are going to file a lawsuit based on all journalists, such as yourself, in foreign countries. If you've ever sent me a link, now, if you've sent me comments, that's one thing. But if you've ever sent me a link of any research, that you're in if you want to be in the class action. So what are you going to do with the money? Will you get a pool, or what will you do with the money after the lawsuit comes in?
Is this a question?
That's the question. Costa Rica, that's your question. What are you going to do with the money?
I've never sent you any links or any information, so I can't participate in the lawsuit.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fine. You're still commenting, so that's great. I appreciate it. Any other thing you'd like to say to Addy or Dave or Tom or myself?
Well, if any of you are ever in Costa Rica, you're welcome. Or if you need a sanctuary, you're welcome to contact me on Twitter and my Twitter account is a school play.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Oh, great.
Hey, George Webbism.
No.
Hey, we'll be down there November 6th, okay, if Biden wins.
So are you down in like the San Jose area or up higher?
Yeah, I am. I'm in the San Jose area.
Great.
All right. We'll see you down there. We'll see you down there on the 6th. We hope you have a couple of cots and a couple of sleeping bags. So
I'll find some by then.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Kyra. Thanks for dialing
Kyra.
in.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
All right.
on.
Wave, Addy. You always got to wave to folks, when they go by. Okay. All right.
Bye.
All right. Thanks, Kyra.
See you later, Kyra.
Thank you.
So you've now witnessed a new feature that the Great Addy Ads has enabled here, which is if you want to come in from your computer, Addy will monitor that. I've sent out the actual invitation link. Of course, we'll block you if you do something crazy, but if not, come on in and we'll take your question. Everybody can see your smiling face. If you want to just dial into the newsroom here, we have a phone number, I believe. We can 734-224-7090. There it is over there by the map of Ohio and the Hunter Biden Bevan Cooney pipeline over there with the Marathon Oil pipeline to the port of Toledo. So,
And if you do join the lobby and you want to talk or you don't want your mic on, or excuse me, you're not your mic, but your camera on, just send us a message in the private chat for those that are in the lobby already.
Yeah, we could just turn your mic on, and you have the ability on StreamYard just to turn your mic on and block your camera.
Yep.
So that we just hear you. So I like this a little bit better because you can see where people are from and so forth. And
yeah, it's nice. You can see people's faces too if they want to show them. We have 2 people in the lobby right now, and Michael and Sarah Band. If you guys want to hop on the stream, just send us a private chat. It should be over on the right side of the screen. It looks like Abigail already used that, but she dipped out. I guess she went back to the regular YouTube link. Are you guys on Discord somewhere? I have a Discord. We should make our own Discord, though, maybe our Neighborhood News Hour Discord. Let me put the Discord link in the chat if anybody wants to join Discord. It's basically a server used for chatting and sharing information, photo, videos, links, documents, etc. It's a nice place to have as a readout, basically, if we all lose our channels, which looks like it's going to happen at some point. But yeah, Discord link in the description box and the chat box, excuse me.
Yeah, and one of the things about all these journalists coming together here, and thank you again to Aaron Adler for making the site free, is that we can all share these little tools and tricks. I mean, Addy showed me a proxy server last night, so it can make it look like you're coming from Brazil if other YouTube channels are trying to organize denial of service attacks against you. Just the whole thing with a lawsuit, it's better to have a YouTube journalist freedom of speech or freedom of the press lawsuit center where everything funnels in and people can come in from anywhere in the tri-state area or anywhere in the country. You can fly in right now. If you're an attorney, if you're an antitrust attorney, fly in, meet with everybody, give us all advice. We'll put you on a show. This is now the YouTube freedom of the press lawsuit center.
And we have a question here from Brian Ball.
Oh, Brian, here we go. Where do we send money? Brian is the person who has encouraged ill on me. And so I think that's you can go to GoFundMe, Brian. We are a valid 501(c)(3) C3 that I always oppose those. I do have dyslexia, so Brian may want to stop his disinformation campaign. Brian now knows that our good friend Bob Ulinsky ended up confirming everything I'd said about the Blackberries. It's Bob Ulinsky, who's the big guy, Bob Ulinsky, right?
Appearing on Tucker tonight. So
appearing on Tucker tonight. All the disinformation, Brian, that you spread about the Blackberries, and now we have Bob Ulinsky with the 3 Blackberries. Now we have Bob Ulinsky with showing you that Hunter Biden's 3 Blackberries. It makes perfect sense now why somebody from the Biden camp would have come over and said the House Blackberries were Hillary's, the House Blackberries were Libya, Syria, and the Iran deal in Ukraine. We got this dropped in our lap. They want us to take the rap. I think that's what Brian is trying to say when he says, where do you send money? He's saying, I'm going to completely validate everything George has said about the Blackberries in his book, Blackberries Matter. Thank you, Brian, for the confirmation.
But if you actually do want to send money, I put the link to the GoFundMe.
I don't want any money from Brian Ball. Brian,
okay.
Brian, you keep your money. Why don't you send it to Google? I don't want a dime from you, Brian, because then you'll have standing in any kind of bullshit lawsuit that you're going to try to generate. So take your money, Brian, and shove it up your ass. Okay. Thank you, Brian. Thank you for your assholeness, Brian, but you are a true jerk. Okay. And, you might want to go say hi to your friend Ken Hale, who issues death threats like the Southern Poverty Law Center issues press releases. Okay. And, Waco coming to my home, being 5 minutes outside my family, going to Waco my family, going to flamethrower my family, going to Jonestown my family. Why don't you go say hi to your friend? Okay. We don't want your money. Okay.
So obviously some history there. George and Brian.
Mastery of understatement.
Everyone besides Brian, if you guys want to help out with the GoFundMe for the class action lawsuit, I put the link in the chat. Otherwise, you can go to George's Twitter, twitter.com/George without an E at the end. Georg Web with 2 B's. I have also retweeted it, so you can see it on my Twitter as well, which is in the description box as well. So, yeah, so we got a GoFundMe set up for the class action lawsuit, people, if you want to do that. Otherwise, we are taking calls. If you guys want to do call in, 734-224-7090, 734-224-7090. Otherwise, if you guys want to show your face, you can do that as well. And just let me know and I'll send you the link. How did you send that link out, George?
On my Twitter.
On your Twitter.
On
Okay.
Twitter. So
George's Twitter is the place to be, people.
Yep.
One thing too is I feel like with these guys like Brian coming in, I do I feel like they want to pin us with this QAnon, with this House Resolution 1154, which was on October 2nd, 2020. Really strong language in there. I mean, obviously we do not support any of the violence and genocide, acts of terrorism, anti-Semitism. All the things that they mention in there is not what our channel is about. We're about uncovering history and trying to understand networks of organizations that affect us now, that have affected us historically. And it's not about, choosing a side and saying which group is right and wrong. It's about trying to just throw all the information out there and telling it in a way that people can understand the story and not be confused and being attacked by these charges, which are coming, and it's sad because in our hearts that is not our purpose. So I feel like that's where someone like a Brian chiming in on this is going to try to lump us in with that. And so we just want to say that that's not what we're about here at all. So just from the beginning to say that's not our purpose.
Okay, we have Boston Lockdown now. Hey, Boston Lockdown.
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, you guys. I love you guys. You're the best.
Well, thank you. I assume you're in Boston, but I don't know if that's the case. But
Yes. I'm just outside, and our governor is what we call a counter, which is he finds lots of data to support what he wants to do, but he sort of edits it to fit his agenda. So we have rising cases, and we're not sure if anybody's dying. We can't quite figure that part out. But yesterday at 5 o'clock, we got an alert on our cell phones that would resemble what you'd get if you, say, had a tornado coming in Kansas or a hurricane approaching in Louisiana. Suddenly the phones buzzed, and in yellow letters it said I was in Waltham, which is a town right nearby that has a higher number of cases tested. Therefore, it's in a red zone. And I was told as I went into a market there that I was suddenly in a red zone. And I'm not sure what the purpose of that was, but it's the first time that's happened here.
isn't it interesting that you're in?
Sorry.
Isn't it interesting that you're in Waltham, right on Route 128, I believe, and
Yes.
that's where our good friend Peter Struck did his internship at Digital Equipment Corporation when he was running the Promise software for Bill Weld, the winners and losers software for Bob Maxwell and Bill Weld, who was your attorney general, who then moved on to basically with a guy named Richard Armitage, used this as a kill list and as a weapons wish list for countries all over the world through using Department of Justice developed software to basically a shopping list for overthrows around the world. And that was Bob Maxwell and Bill Weld. Do you remember Bill Weld?
Oh, yes. Bill Weld. It's he's got his name on a Harvard dormitory. That's an old New England family.
Yep.
And the Weld, not the Bill. And he is a long line of governors here who all went on to other posts and frequently didn't finish their terms. You might recall that Weld wanted to be ambassador, I believe, to Mexico, and somewhat of a hardcore Republican named Strom Thurmond made his life miserable and prevented it from happening. But we've had a number of folks who've come out of Boston and never finished their terms. And of course, we are also the home of one great Cardinal Law, who was part of a terrible scandal in the Catholic Church, who went on a trip to the Vatican and never returned to face any music. So And of course, one of our favorite people, Mr. Mueller, was the head of the FBI, I believe, here when they couldn't find Whitey. Whitey, what's his name?
Bulger.
Whitey Bulger.
Bulger. Whitey, the great
Yeah.
Whitey Bulger. So
Well, and not only that, it jumps right now to Hunter Biden, who is in with his nephew, Whitey Bulger's nephew, going back to the patriarch crime family again, both up there in Boston and then down in Rhode Island, and Strzok running sort of a hit squad, the Strzok senior and junior running sort of a hit squad for the patriarch crime family. Again, the Promise software. If you work for us, we'll take care of you. If you cross us, you'll end up in the Charles River. That was the promise of the Promise software. And that was the first crime family where they made inroads, where Mossad made inroads in the United States. And they just went down the Atlantic coast with different Genovese associated crime families, like the Nancy Pelosi's father's crime family. And that's how they've taken over our country. That's how this CIA organized crime has taken over our country. And we have to go to the roots of this thing. There's no way that we can avoid it. You have to pull this stuff up by the taproot, or otherwise you're just changing the deck chairs on the Titanic. Go ahead, Dave.
I just wanted your comments too with talking about Whitey Bulger. His brother was a triple Eagle, Boston College all the way, and he was the representative from Massachusetts, and then later the running the UMass school system. So if you just want to tie that in with Whitey and Bob Mueller.
Well, we could never figure out how Bill Bulger couldn't find Whitey. I mean, he claimed he never talked to him.
Couldn't find his brother missing.
Could never find
Didn't
his
go to
brother.
Thanksgiving.
And I don't know if he had a payphone in his backyard installed. That's never proven. But he did come from one of the smallest districts. And of course, he would win 80-20 each year in his reelection bid and continue to run the legislature. But one of the little nuggets of Massachusetts history that may in the end save all of us is that you might recall that Joe Biden ran for president in 1988. Was that right? The first time around. And
I think so. That was with the Syracuse Law School stuff, the plagiarism. I remember
right.
that.
Well, but I think the person that defeated him, and of course then got routed, was Michael Dukakis. But
Right.
as part of that, the reason Biden failed was that he got caught in a big plagiarism scandal. He, in a major speech, directly pulled thoughts from a pretty well-known Irish politician named Neil Kinnock. And the local papers caught him at it, and they drove him out of the race. And that allowed Dukakis then to star in the famous scene when he drove a tank.
In Michigan, in Warren, Michigan, at TACCOM is where that happened.
And that pretty much sealed his fate as to whether he could have been a tank commander, but being president wasn't in the cards. So we have a great history here.
So he's apparently in the lead right now. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that history is so interesting with the Kennedy family and the Bulgers and all that. I mean, I went to Boston College, so I grew up here in Detroit, and I was at BC from 96 to 2000. So we had the Tip O'Neill Library and everything. So there is all that old Massachusetts history that is interesting to study that.
No, absolutely. And I hope you guys are keeping your spirits up. I see that Macduff has been taken down, which is the tricky thing for me is that the woman that runs Twitter, whose name I can't quite pronounce, even though I've got a pretty ethnic background myself, Woj Sickney or something.
That's the YouTube CEO.
YouTube.
Woj Sickney or something like that. First name is Susan.
Susan. She was an undergraduate at Harvard in one of the majors that was pretty elite. And if anybody was grilled in the history of ethics, she would have been grilled in that. So the irony of her now doing what she's doing is really insulting to that degree, in my opinion. And I'm not sure if anybody's going to call her out, but somebody must be putting an awful lot of pressure on her to do this. I've been a George fan right along, and I've watched you guys come online with the neighborhood news, and the reporting is just terrific. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boston.
Yeah, thank you so much. And just to mention, yeah, his channel was taken down, but he does have a backup channel that he's still doing programming on. We spoke to him just a few minutes ago. He signed in also, but just so viewers out there, if they are not aware of that, John does have a McDuff underscore 2020 on YouTube.
Wonderful. If I could just ask George one question.
Sure.
It's well advertised now that Tucker Carlson's going to have Bobulinski on tonight, and I'm wondering if he's going to show up with his little phones with the Blackberries. Do you expect this to be sugar-coated, or do you think that they're going to really go after this?
Definitely a sugarcoat. You're not going to hear anything about Libya, Syria, Sudan, or the Iran nuclear deal, or Ukraine. None of the covert actions that Cofer Black and Jonathan Weiner have done with these Blackberries. You're only going to hear the last guy who was in the chain get blamed for everything. And because I know, and Bobulinski now has confirmed that they didn't even get in contact with Hunter Biden until December of 2015. That was after the Iran nuclear deal. And then they didn't even meet Joe Biden until May of 2017, a couple days before the Mr. Biden BlackBerry met with me. So that means Joe Biden wasn't in the conspiracy either for any of those deals. So everything that Mr. Biden BlackBerry told me has checked out, that they weren't a part of those House covert actions. They were a part of the Senate action, which Bobulinski is this Belt and Road, this economic corridor project with Pakistan and China. I just saw another thing here by Gateway Pundit, just came out here. Hunter Biden confesses partnership with China spy chief. Biden named as a witness in the SDNY case, laptop from hell. So again, you just see this. They're trying to take this long train of covert actions and just cut off the caboose at the end and let the caboose, take all the fire while the train with the gold and all the robbers, keeps going off into the sunset. Poor Biden is like that, when they unhitch the caboose with all the dynamite, it blows up. Oh, we got everybody. So that's what I think's happening. Bobulinski won't. It would be nice if Bobulinski said, "Hey, this was a crew that goes all the way back to Libya with these Blackberries. We know Hillary's on the Blackberry with a cackle." So that's my take.
And do you think that this is? My greatest fear is that these folks are so desperate that they've set up Biden so that, in fact, if everything's wrong, we end up with Hillary as vice president and Kamala Harris as the president, and Biden saying my aneurysm has come back.
Yeah.
I dread that. I just dread it.
Yeah. Well, and they have a challenge on Kamala Harris not being American because her parents weren't born in America. So it could be a situation where Hillary's president.
No.
Or Nancy Pelosi's president.
She's number
pro
3.
Pro tem, and then she names Hillary Clinton president. The audio file tonight that will come out, and I'm sorry for the loud audibles, but it's Hunter Biden in an audio file labeled "most genius shit ever." Appears to be, their words, not mine, appears to be referencing Patrick Ho, who was a former Secretary of Home Foreign Affairs in Hong Kong as a spy chief in China, while lamenting while lamenting how his business partner Yi of CEFC China Energy had disappeared. So CEFC China is this Belt and Road economic corridor. So we're right on the money. What I know about Ho is that Ho was a prop of Kwok. Kwok is or Gao, however you want to say. This is Steve Biden's organized crime connections in Hong Kong. So you can see the Steve Bannon hand here. Steve Bannon hand here. Kwok is his Hong Kong gangster.
Macau casinos. Right?
Macau casinos and so forth. And so Bannon, no wonder Bannon has this gal named Yan, who's out there talking about coronavirus and how it's the China virus, when we know that there was these 5 American universities and all the people in our bioweapons programs here in America with joint ventures with this Wuhan lab. So I think a lot more has to come out. We have to hold Bobby Alinsky's feet to the fire. Hopefully Hunter won't become a shrinking violet and say, well, how long have they been using these Blackberries? Doesn't this go back to UCOM and you guys toppling Gaddafi? You know, I mean, that would be a question that he should ask, and we'll see what Bobby Alinsky says.
All right. All right, you guys.
Thank you for your call.
Yeah,
Listen.
thank you, Mr. Boston Lockdown. And how long? I just want to ask how long you've been following George for.
Oh boy. I go back to when he was almost always on with John together on your reports. So way back,
Yeah.
quite a way back.
Yeah,
Quite
Jason.
a way back. A couple of years anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for calling in Boston Lockdown.
We love Boston.
We love Boston. We look forward to more. That Dave went to Boston College. I think he.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
The Eagles
He
are
played
still
across
struggling.
there.
Mm-mm.
He lashed some people across
No.
the face. Yes,
We
he
had
did.
some good friends that were, from classmates from my high school that were over at Harvard and MIT and stuff. So all the, I love all, Boston's a beautiful place, great place to go and go to school. So I have nothing but good things to say about the area of Boston. The people are great there. So.
Well, then one last thing that you'll appreciate, and I say that tongue in cheek, the governor's banned hockey. Obviously, youth hockey.
Oh well, that's gonna
primarily
put a
spread
dent on the
of COVID.
BC fandom because hockey
And
is
it-
the main attraction
all
there.
the beat
Also
pot is
interesting
pretty
too,
free.
talking about the politicians with, I was always intrigued by Mitt Romney being the governor of Massachusetts, being from where I'm from, Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. So that was always
Yes.
another intriguing element to the political history of the state of Massachusetts.
Yes, well, I voted in a primary where George Romney's name was on the ballot, so I've been around for a while.
Yeah, well, he's
guys.
yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, guys. Okay, keep going. Bye.
See you
Appreciate
later.
it. All right. Somebody's got. Oh, that's him. Okay.
Yeah,
So Hunter also says Joe Biden refused to take calls from the New York Times and repeatedly sent the calls to his former business partner Eric. I don't know what Eric he's speaking of, but Devin Archer. Hunter Biden is heard on this phone call complaining about his business partner Devin Archer naming him and Joe Biden as witnesses in the Southern District of New York case without even notifying him. Hunter also says Joe Biden refused to take calls from the New York Times. I get calls from my father to tell me that the New York Times is calling him, but my old partner Eric, who literally has done me harm for I don't know how long, is taking the calls because my father will not stop sending the calls to Eric. So Eric is talking to the New York Times. I don't know.
Think it's that Eric, maybe?
I don't know if it's Eric Braverman or not.
Eric Schmidt.
Or Eric Schmidt. That's two questions. Well,
we need to
the
put
plot really thinks if
who's
it's
Eric on the big board. Throw it up there with
Who's
the big
Eric?
guy. Yeah.
Who's Eric?
Who's Eric?
Who's the? I mean, there's 3 different companies that I'm aware of. Bohai Harvest, obviously, is one. Rosemont Seneca is another one. Global Hawk is another one.
Or Sinohawk.
Sinohawk, excuse me, is another one. Global Hawk.
Bo's favorite
might
animal.
have
You have to
used-
remember.
Sinohawk might have used Global Hawks to manage the corridor.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I have another New York Times reporter calling me about my representation of Patrick Ho, the effing, but it's spelled out here, spy chief of China, who started the company that my partner, who is worth $323 billion, founded and now is missing. I think he's talking about Yi, who founded CEFC.
300 billion?
323 billion. CEFC, the Chinese Corridor Slug. The Chinese Corridor Slug was supposed to be 9%, which was Buffett's consortium. 9% was Ross, and it was going to be laundered by Rosneft. So that was that's bigger. That's bigger than the $15 billion Rosneft slug. That's the whole deal.
Here's Patrick Ho in the Southern District of New York. He was involved in a case there, so there could be some good information.
Yeah, he was
on,
sentenced to 3 years for
Mhm.
money laundering and so forth. Yeah, we'll get it in there somewhere. There we go. Oh, there we go. Patrick Ho. All right, maybe.
There's probably good background on Patrick Ho in those documents there.
Yeah, and to me, I see this trying to push away again, this is the caboose. This is them cutting the caboose away. And you know how the caboose slowly loses momentum because it doesn't have the engine pulling it anymore, and it's left all by itself. Hunter's the caboose in this, and they're just cutting it loose. The richest man in the world is missing. Who was my partner? The richest man in the world is missing. Who was my partner? That's got to be Yi. Well, let's confirm that. He was missing since I last saw him in his $58 million apartment inside a $4 billion deal to build the largest effing, spelled out, LNG port in the world. I believe that LNG port that he was trying to build was in south of Shanghai. But I could be wrong. Let's find out where the largest effing. Let's find out all this before Bob Ulinsky talks to.
Now, is it a refinery or is it
LNG port?
Just a port?
Yeah, it could be the East Med pipeline because there's a huge LNG port in Egypt that was built. There was a huge LNG port that was built off the coast of Cyprus, so he could have been in on that. Wow, that would explain everything because they rolled in all the Africa, all the what do you call it? Arab Spring money into the East Med pipeline.
They say the world's largest LNG terminal relies on Centum to maximize safety and reliability. The company is Korean gas company located in Incheon, South Korea, completed 2011. So we're back in South Korea with Ambassador Harry Harris
and Mike Flynn, right?
Mm-hmm. And Mike Flynn, having Christmas kimchi with the locals in.
Isn't that kimchi or is it
kimchi?
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
I didn't know.
I haven't been there, so I don't know how to pronounce everything. Yeah.
But Incheon obviously is where the huge landing was that was run by the general that John's dad worked for MacArthur.
Also, probably the nicest airport that I've ever been to is at Incheon.
Incheon Landing was the book
international.
Incheon Landing was the book written about the MacArthur invasion going behind enemy lines.
It's KO-Gas it's how it goes for Korean gas is the name of the company that runs
KO-Gas?
KO-Gas.
Oh, you mean for the Korean War you're talking about with MacArthur? Yeah, they did a movie on that with what's his name? Liam Neeson, and it's pretty good.
Incheon Landing. Was it called Incheon Landing?
Is that I can't remember what it was called. It's pretty good though. That you know it showed the communist slam to North Korea and like the fracturing within the country.
Peter Duke he referenced a video on the Bank of Japan and sort of how they reorganized after World War II for their reconstruction, and a lot of this redevelopment and which players were involved. I feel like you can learn a lot from watching old documentaries like that on how those systems were set up.
Because they took the Bank of Japan, basically was the old Bushido families, was the old militaristic, ultra-militaristic
They used the old Federal Reserve System, sort of just printing money, buying, depressed assets, from the war-torn districts, and then, basically getting title to the assets.
Because Mitsubishi with the cars was one of the families, and then, they used to make the Zero, so that war industry, and then the chemical weapons, maybe that there was a
731. That was the unit 731.
I'm trying to think of the Japanese pharmaceutical company that ended up having that piece of that business, because there was a strong relationship between IG Farben and in Japan, and there was a lot of people going back and forth between IG Farben and the unit 731.
Right.
So
well, even during World War II, I read that like Standard Oil was leasing technology for turning coal into usable fuel for the Nazi army. So the idea that these companies just go all in and they couldn't just have like a licensing agreement or like an IP being leased basically through a separate company. Like you have to consider those scenarios also.
Do you want to hear Hunter Biden's deal with the spy chief? You want to throw it on there?
Yeah. If you know what you do, if you could send me the link, George, I can play it on there so we can route it directly.
Okay.
So that way we don't have kill the middleman, the technological middleman. But we're live with George Webb.
You want me to send you email?
Twitter, message, email, whatever is the quickest. You could just send the link over. Addy Ads, Detroit Dave, George Webb, and Tom CIA in the building here at the Neighborhood News Hour. We're here live at the Swing State Studios. A house divided Michigan and Ohio Has Trump officially won Ohio? No, but it looks like he has won Ohio, Michigan up for grabs, but we never know for sure until these results come in. So
I had heard Michigan was about at 40% in the early voting, and Ohio's still only at 30%. I don't think you might have seen my report and Addy's report with Donald Trump Jr. yesterday. I don't think Donald Trump Jr. would be flying here yesterday if he wasn't trying to get out the last bit of votes, or at least get people to vote early. So
that seems to be the message that I've been seeing.
Vote early.
Vote early. They've been putting it on all over the place on the phones and that sort of thing.
Vote early.
Vote
And
early.
Michigan too.
And Trump there are really nice Trump ads on this vote early thing.
Yeah.
You know, I've been seeing them.
It
the
seems
last
like
day
it's
or
hard
so.
to cheat that.
Well, because they're official. They're official.
Yeah. The Trump camp, I notice, is really behind this. So here we go. Here's the
This
Hunter
one-
Biden tape.
Okay, let's watch it. So they'll be able to hear it, but everyone. Oh, is this bad?
Welcome to my wonderful
We got
world of
an
flavor with a
advertisement
new
here, folks.
dynamic design that will
Bear
have
with us. Oh wait. Back to show.
Sorry, we don't. Hopefully,
We're getting a little trip down memory lane of history right there.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, folks, but George has got it.
Well, go down in. Don't just.
Do I got to scroll down a little more?
Yeah, scroll down a little bit. In
Okay.
The article. Yeah.
One sec here, folks.
That's
Oh,
it.
right here.
There you
Okay. Here we go.
But it's nice to know that the Shah is still around. On ice somewhere.
Okay. I'm gonna go full screen on this.
There we go.
I get calls from my father to tell me that the New York Times is calling, but my old partner Eric, who literally has done me harm for I don't know how long, is the one taking the calls because my father will not stop sending the calls to Eric. I have another New York Times reporter calling about my representation of literally, Dr. Patrick Coe, the fucking spy chief of China, who started the company that my partner, who was worth $323 billion, founded, and is now missing. The richest man in the world is missing, who was my partner. He was missing since I last saw him in his $58 million apartment and signed a $4 billion deal to build the fucking largest fucking LNG port in the world.
Look.
And
The conspiracy clutch.
calls from the Southern District of New York, from the U.S. Attorney himself. My best friend in business, Devin, has named me as a witness without telling me.
Yeah, and my take on that, Addy, is definitely more digging here. We need to dig as much as we can on Yi and Ho before we get there. We need to find out who the deal was, what the LNG deal was. Notice the CIA book every time. We talked about these port deals. We talked about these LNG deals before. And again, if you beat Trump and you beat American shipping to Europe, you get the business, right? Again, it seems to be China's trying to beat the U.S. with the Bidens for these energy deals. And the story that Biden BlackBerry guy told is holding up, that they only did the energy deals. So we need to find out a little bit more on what you got something, Dave? Here, go.
Oh, I was just gonna say we need to know who the best friend Eric was, and with that big amount of money missing like that, just reminds me of the Chip Tatum the Mule book, where they were going over to Nina to try to find the who was stealing the $100 million from the Enterprise at that point.
Do you think this is bait? Maybe when they say the richest man in the world, because my partner was the richest man in the world, and now it's going to fuel a speculation blaze of who the richest man in the world was and who was his business partner named Eric. I mean, we should be able to just do a compound search, richest man in the world and Eric.
Well, we know a richest man that had a his phone was hacked, and there were some incriminating photos and some controversy over was it the girlfriend's brother that released it? Was it hacked by MBZ? So again, with the richest man in the world, we've sort of been through this before, but
I think he's talking about Buffett.
Well,
I mean, Buffett's one of the richest men in the world.
He's always been he was, always one of the richest men in the world for my entire lifetime, I'd say.
I mean, Eric Schmidt's up there as well. I mean, this would all come together. 15 billion. Eric Schmidt's 15 billion right there's Eric.
That was when he was about. Well, no, he definitely weighed less back then. Weighs a little more now, but yeah, let me pull this up.
Yeah, I mean, for those who don't remember the whole Clinton Foundation moving west with Eric Braverman becoming the head of the Clinton Foundation, the Google Foundation that Eric Schmidt's wife has, Wendy Schmidt has. There's good old Eric Braverman to head the Google Philanthropies. And I used to work for Eric, and there was only 200 people in Eric's division at Sun. I can tell you he's a pretty good guy, but he always had this. You could just always tell the CIA was on his shoulder. He always had the backing of somebody very big, because he came into Sun from nowhere and immediately took over the company as the #1 guy. And all the money he seems to sit on isn't really his. He's a kind of a custodian of this Alphabet money. If you throw in Alphabet, which is the largest, I mean, Apple's the largest market cap, then Microsoft, but then Google is right after that. So maybe that's what he means by richest man in the world. We're actually suing this person right now. Eric, I don't know. That's not necessarily who Hunter Biden's talking about, but it's way ahead of who's ever in second.
What about In-Q-Tel? How much involvement do you think In-Q-Tel had in the development of Alphabet and Google and
Huge.
YouTube? I mean,
Yeah.
I know that they were instrumental with the BlackBerry story, being in Waterloo.
But Palantir, all the DARPA stuff, all the private DARPA stuff was all In-Q-Tel, right?
Mhm.
All the satellite technology that was developed in Operation Blackjack was In-Q-Tel. All the face recognition technology, all the shadow net type election interference technology was In-Q-Tel. I don't know. Let's find a company that Eric Schmidt was in with Hunter Biden. You got it?
Here's an interesting proposition here, George. Should we have a secret name for you for my YouTube channel, so we can stay unbanned as long as possible? What do you think?
That's a good idea.
Should we change you to Deep Blackberry?
No, there's already a Deep Blackberry.
What's your name? We got to think of a name. Give us
another
a name.
Eric that
I would call it Deep Freedom. Just call me Deep Freedom. That'll
Deep
be
Freedom.
Yeah, Deep Freedom.
So Connie in
For
the chat
short
room
for freedom of the press. Deep Freedom.
said to also consider Eric S. Wan, born in 1970. He's a Chinese-American billionaire businessman, CEO and founder of Zoom Video Communication, which Zoom, I feel like, has really come to the forefront as far as video conferencing during lockdowns. I know with my, nephew that's doing homeschooling because of the COVID striking his school. They're using Zoom for communication. So again, going back to level 3 and the all of the infrastructure set up with Kiwit and what's the Qualcomm, all that stuff. I mean, I feel like it is linked. This having this infrastructure backbone is really an area they focus on.
Yeah, and do yuan, Y-U-A-N. I think isn't that the Chinese currency?
I was going to say, he's the money man. He said they named the currency after him.
So do yuan and LNG port, and we should have a hit. It should be an easy one. And if Eric Schmidt's done a LNG port, just do Eric Schmidt and LNG. First privately run UNG port opens. There it is, China Daily. Crank your size on that, would you? Be so kind.
Yeah.
Oh, they can see this?
In a second here.
Oh, okay.
So, like we're saying, guys, George's new moniker, I'm only going to say this once, guys. Deep Freedom.
Deep Freedom.
And
so
let me pull this.
To the tune of Philadelphia Freedom, if you remember that song. So anytime you hear that, just put Deep Freedom up and we'll know who you're talking about.
Here we got first privately run LNG port opens China's first major privately owned liquefied natural gas import terminal entered operation on Tuesday. This is back in 2018 in the eastern Zhejiang province.
Stena Blue Sky. That's the company that he was in. Blue Sky is a company Hunter Biden was in.
With the arrival of LNG tanker, Stena Blue Sky.
Stena is the name of the ship, but Blue Sky is the firm. And if you may remember, we went to Jason and I went to South Florida and we visited Blue Water, and then there was a Blue Sky. Blue Sky would seem to be. I remember standing in front of a mural in Washington D.C. With Blue Sky and Blue Water. There it is. There it is. Can you see it? Can you see it? Blue Sky was all the sort of in-hotel investments for overhead surveillance, and Blue Water was all the covert maritime activities, and that was the shell company. So what did you get there, Addy? I missed that.
Just to add to that too, we're just discussing the Belt and Road Initiative. Like, I think it's important to remember it's one deal, but you have your overland route and you have your sea route. So with these ports and these LNG tanker ships, it is important to remember that the roots of that is going to be all the East India Company, the waterways, the traditional ports, the new
with
ports.
choke points. With choke
Well,
points.
you got to have the choke point. I mean, it's just like that's just basic strategy of controlling your waterway. I mean, you need to have your tax collectors be able to get their
Every one
cut.
of the routes, every one of the sea ports on the China Belt and Road had choke points that the U.S. Navy could easily take. So the U.S. Navy's intel slug in the deal, they could always say, "Hey, you guys don't pay our 9%." I think Buffett is the person proxying the 9%. We can choke the.
But we remember how important Port Authority was from World War II after Pearl Harbor. We had to partner up with Lucky Luciano and the Mafia to help us with our Port Authority situation to protect us from sabotage. So, again, these controlling the ports, having people there that can, collect those fees and tolls. I mean, that's the bread and butter of this organization, is just getting the weight and the tolls. That's what they want.
You wonder if Blue Sky is the airland route, and there's choke points.
Kind of like Terramar too. I feel like Terramar is also land and water too.
Terramar, yeah, and deep Blackberry and Deep Uranium was saying that there was a CIA basis along the Belt and Road that were airstrips. So we don't know, but I see Aaron Adler, who runs the show here, and he calls the shots here. He's Super Jew right behind me, right there. You can see him right there. There's Super Jew right there. So I don't think we're anti-Semitic. But
he likes Deep Journalist better.
And I like Deep Journo. So if you want to call me Deep Journo, that's
Deep
fine. And then we'll leave Deep Freedom for this whole movement here, or somebody else.
Operation Deep Freedom.
They have anti-defamation.
Operation Deep Freedom.
Yeah,
the whole operation will be called Deep Freedom, but we will have me as Deep Journal. Okay?
Yeah, I just want to say too that with these concerns, I mean, the Anti-Defamation League is listed on the QAnon thing as being one of the leaders of it. So again, that is something that we try to be extremely sensitive to everybody, and what the history, what we're trying to discover versus the narratives that everyone sort of agreed upon. Challenging those things is uncomfortable business for a lot of people. So we're trying to be respectful and take a full big picture view and really understand everything when we talk about this stuff.
And you're not a an AI shutdown trigger yet, so we were not going to say.
I hope not. I'm always worried that I'm like part of the
down.
reason. Yeah, I'm afraid that like my comments are going to get everybody banned, and I never want that to be the case.
I think they ban who they want to ban.
Well, I know George
throw in here on
his
the
legacy, but
nomenclature. Throw in on the nomenclature.
You mean as far as what you're going to be called, or
whatever you want to talk about? What do you think?
The Deep Journalist, man. I like better than Deep Journal. That just kind of leaves you hanging, I would think.
All right, Deep Journalist it is. Okay,
I think
Deep Journalist
better.
it is. I think it's not a very good secret right now, but anyway, Deep Journalist is great.
That's my opinion.
There you go. No, we're going to go with that. That's audience.
Or we could use press too. I think is possible.
I like Deep Press.
Deep Press.
I like that.
That kind of sounds like the full court press. In
Yeah, it does.
We can bounce it around.
We can bounce it
like a basketball, and
now we got to do all these tags. So I saw something there about the Vancouver firm with Fortis, Forits, Connie Bevan, and there was a Fortis link to the port deal. Again, I don't want this. It seems very Bannon. This tape has this ring of Bannon trying to throw people in the opposite direction away from Belton Road. We'll throw it over to, it has to be in China, so we'll throw it over to this port. Could you bring up that port, by the way? Could you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and on the map. And we'll go there. I said it was south of Shanghai. I still think it is south of Shanghai. It's Zhejian, and we'll bring that up. And we will. That's the province, Eastern Province. That is a Belton Road. I think that's actually the easternmost Belton Road port.
Let's see.
Do that along with Belton Road, and I think you're going to find that's the easternmost port we've been talking about.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Let's hit that with a Google map, and we're going to.
But with your Korea talk too, and the bad script writing, this was just from last week. They had the
Moonies. That's a Bannon thing.
They brought the Moonies in to cheer for Trump. I mean,
that's a Bannon.
Yeah,
That's a
I
Bannon.
feel like it's just so bad. I mean, I can't believe
Bannon's paying all these white supremacist fake groups to now chime in on Trump. I mean, it's such a Bannon operation. So here we go. We're zooming in, folks. Oh, you're going to share that? Share that out?
Yeah, give me a sec here.
Can you look that up, Dave, and with a compound search with Ann Belton Road?
And what's my first search term?
Zhejian. Yeah, there it is. And see how close this is, you guys, to be a port for the Channel Islands between there and Taiwan. If you zoom out, you'll see this is one of the Channel Islands places. We're going to hit Taiwan here in a second if we zoom out a little bit more. There it is between Japan and see Taiwan, and see to the south how the Channel Strait there, the Channel Islands, is this whole chain, on how that port is the closest to this whole chain. This goes back to what Deep Blackberry was saying, that these Channel Islands were actually going to be the interest payment for a bridge loan from the Chinese government to buy all this U.S. debt at 0% interest. Remember, their national bank loaned our national bank all this money at 0 interest. The Channel Islands and possibly Taiwan was going to be the interest payment. So this is very interesting to me. If it's a Belton Road port, that would also be interesting, because that means it's the first pearl on the necklace in the Belton Island. I hate to use pearl necklace as a descriptor, but it does go with Hunter, does it not? And it does go with China.
Gotta watch those feet.
Got to watch those feet. And these were Chinese girls, were they not? Did they wear? Is this the first pearl of the China pearl necklace for Hunter? I mean, there's a couple of things going on there, Addy adds.
A lot of innuendo going on.
I'm just talking about pearl necklaces that you would find in China. Is this the first pearl on the Belton Road?
Well, I know about the Mikimoto pearls from Japan being the world famous, so I don't know if they can compete with that. But
let's find out if this Belton Road, if this port, how is the LNG port deal doing? How is it going? Where are we at in completion with that deal? Let's find out. There's got to be some articles, right? This is what we talked about, that newsroom simulation, where you got people with the big screen TVs and they're all looking stuff up.
Well, there was a second Belt and Road Forum international cooperation in the Chinese capital of Beijing. Let's see, His Highness attended the signing ceremonies of 2 agreements. The first was signed by the DP World Group Chairman H.E. Sultan Ahmad bin Salyam.
DP World Group. Remember that entity.
DP World Group. And then the other one was the commodities use the traders market to store and ship Chinese products. And that was from the chairman of the Xinjiang China Commodities. So it sounds maybe a little permanexy there, setting up the
it's always weapons,
the marketplace.
Yep.
All gotta have a swap meet
proprietaries,
for all your stuff.
Proprietaries for all your.
That is in UAE that they're or in Dubai that was held.
And it's interesting that Paul Cottrell, was talking to us about these think tanks, saying that there was going to be a play made for the Channel Islands here on Trump in the interregnum. I mean, if Trump wins, China will make a play for the Channel Islands and challenge Trump. That was Paul Cottrell's intel.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I just wanted to show this. I used to live in Okinawa, right here. And look how close it is to this port we're talking about, this LNG port.
How far is it?
So this is actually, I just did the airport just for.
Can they see this?
The illustration. Yep, they can see it.
Okay.
So
13 hours by plane?
Yeah, by plane. Yeah, to Okinawa.
Wow.
Is this when you were at Sugi? When you were at the U2 or the secret CIA base there? When you were at Sugi, that's where the spy planes were, right? Wasn't
In Okinawa.
I thought so.
Yeah,
At
so Lee Harvey-
Sugi,
Lee
at
Harvey
Sugi.
Oswald, they said it was like an underground base, so there was not much.
Oh, it's not an underground base. The
Oh, it's not?
SR-71s fly from there now.
Okay, I thought it was
Yeah.
kind of an underground thing.
No. There's big towers there.
That's
and
where Lee
everything.
Harvey Oswald was working on the U2.
There's
and
a
everything.
sub base there, but there's also a big U.S. Air Force base. Yeah, when Oswald was there, even. Yeah. So let's zoom in on this Belton Road. Is it part of the Belton Road or not, everyone? This is ZHE. What's the name of the port exactly? The LNG port exactly? Because if it's the first pearl in the pearl necklace going all the way to Iran, going all the way to the Baku. Remember, Deep Uranium was saying all the stands were involved in this Belton Road deal. And if you get the map out, where do we? Here, I'm going to just walk over to our wall map.
There's another.
You hit Gretzky, you're going to get. If you hit Gretzky, you're going to get McSorley. If you hit Gretzky, you're going to get McSorley. Here it is. Let me know when I get camera, Addy.
Yeah, you're good there.
See how Tajikistan is in the picture? Kyrgyzstan is in the picture with China. If you're going to flow and drain all the oil out of these countries, if you're going to use PAC ISI to do this drainage, and then you're going to come across here to your Uzbeki truckers, right, with Saipov, Turkmenistan, and then you're in the Baku, 500 billion barrels of oil. So, and there's the tip of Afghanistan. So the Belton Road, I know that there's a huge play in Kazakhstan as well in Belton Road. We need to really chart out where our Belton Road ports are and where are the pearls in the necklace here for Eric, for Eric, whatever his name is, Yuan and Hunter Biden. Where are their pearl necklaces?
Here's another.
That's what we need to know.
$2.8 billion LNG terminal in East China that was built this year.
Sinopec. This is close to Sinohawk.
Yeah.
Hawk would be watching. Peck would be the petroleum and enrichment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Petroleum and enrichment. So very interesting.
Yeah. So this is more.
That's Singapore, but Zhoushan, which I think is close to Shanghai as well. You know, a lot of these deals are done out of the old French protectorate. If people don't remember the movies of these old parts of these cities in Shanghai and Hong Kong, of the
that last line too,
the diplomatic zones, the protectorate zones. Where's that?
So
Jihan
Energy. They
Energy.
currently have 3 LNG terminals. So in those 3 cities right there. So that's their 4th.
I know Hunter Biden's watching this because it's like, shit, I hope this stuff doesn't come out before tonight.
Bob Ulinsky, it's
Bob
like,
Ulinsky has to deal with
the
this.
hawk is Bo's favorite animal. We
Yeah.
named it after the favorite animal.
Go back to Connie, China LNG.
China LNG Group has signed an agreement with the Jiangyin Management Committee to jointly invest and build LNG facilities in Changjiang port area.
Okay.
Jiangyin City.
So don't let that go for a second. Somebody do a compound search on Jiangyin City, but you made it go away.
Oh,
So
Dave's doing the search.
I know.
Oh, okay. He just needs it long enough.
My spelling of Chinese cities is weak, so I gotta really
Okay.
study up when I do
No
the searches.
worries. Get some more comments here. Looks like Houstonic Live checking in. Shout out to Mr. Kulak, Mark Kulak, over at Houstonic Live. Aaron Adler. Only silly goofballs like Borat live in Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
No need to look over there. Move along now. Move along.
Yeah, he's very much thinks that this whole Borat thing is a throw with what's his face, Sasha
Baron Cohen.
Baron Cohen. Yeah.
And Kate is saying hi to Hunter and Henry Kissinger.
Yeah, I think we're so far down the throat of this thing. We should probably bring Deep Throat in too.
These are not the drones you are looking for.
These are not the drones you're looking for.
So here's from September 2nd, 2019. Beijing Gas Blue Sky enters into a cooperation agreement with the Beijing Gas Blue. With China SAM and Sino Energy Corp. So those are 2 other names. We had Sino Energy Corp now and China SAM. They were partnering with Beijing Gas Blue Sky. So
Jiangyin City. Okay. All right. I got it now. And LNG. and Belton Road.
Just going over these comments here, people. Old railroad right-of-ways, turnpike toll roads, retired pipelines. Don't forget Isfahan, says Aaron.
Well, Isfahan would be a great place to run a Sinohawk operation. If you had to, again, go back to the map I just drew and I'll go, here is the Beijing right there. Blue sky, again, seems to be coming up. Going back 3 years with Deep Blackberry, blue sky, right? Remember, blue water and blue sky. That sounds like Belton Road, because Belton Road was blue sky and also blue water. But if you are in Isfahan here, again, going to our map, let me know when I got the con here.
Yeah, you're getting it started.
If you were running operations here for doing Sinohawk type operations for the 30 reactors that Mike Flynn was involved in, the ACU and the IP3 deal, wouldn't it be the next thing? Remember, Iran and Afghanistan sharing pilots here, sharing pilots with Pakistan, this training program. Wouldn't it make sense to just go a little to the north and get the whole contract for the Sinohawk contract for managing the pearl necklace? You don't want the pearl necklace to get stolen, even if it's Hunter Biden with the foot massage. You don't want your pearl necklaces getting stolen. Doesn't it make sense that here's the Sinohawk route to watch this route? Remember, these are people that are having all their resources stolen from their country. There's the BlackBerry. If you don't believe in physical evidence, there's the BlackBerry. Wouldn't it make sense that the Sinohawk routes would be where Deep Uranium said these CIA bases were, where you could go helicopter to helicopter to helicopter along the pearl necklace and unravel the China pearl necklace of Hunter Biden?
I wanted to say one thing for Aaron too with Isfahan. While we're talking about the Belton Road Initiative, just going back to the old the Silk Road, Isfahan is an important city as it is located at the intersection of two principal north, south, and east-west routes that traverse Iran. Isfahan flourished from 1050 to 1722, particularly in the 16th and 17th centuries under the Safavid dynasty, when it became the capital of Persia for the second time in its history under Shah Abbas the Great. Even today, the city retains much of its glorious past. So again, these, you really got to look at the trade routes, the port cities. It's those are the elements that don't change in the story. I feel like throughout history, you have to maybe different, leadership groups or companies doing these deals, but the cities on the roads are the same. So yeah, it's good to know the history of that stuff.
And when CIA apologists and anthropologists get together, they appeal to these people that hey, you're a part of Shah's legacy here. These are the great Caucasian people of Iran and up to the Pale. This is the Caucasus. Some went south and got suntans in Isfahan. Some went north. And excuse me, you want to throw something?
No, I mean somewhat north, yeah.
Somewhat north. Isn't that what happened?
Isn't that what happened? Isn't this also going to the Germans going to like Tibet or whatever for the swastikas and looking for the old
this Himalaya idea?
Caucasian, Aryan
7 years in Tibet. 7 years in Tibet. Like, we're going to keep all of our Nazi artifacts hidden away up in this. Brad Pitt played the character. We're going to hide all of this stuff, and we're going to have our day when we're going to bring it all down from the mountain. And Peter Strzok's going to land all of his helicopters from Isfahan, and we're going to take it out. And we're going to have this Belton Road go through, and we're going to take over every LNG port, and we're going to have choke points on the pearl necklace over land. We're going to have choke points on the pearl necklace and water, and this is our big plan, right? Is that what this is? We don't know.
Where was the art on rollers for the von Steuben Inspector General?
Fort Belvoir.
Fort Belvoir, that's right. Because I feel like that has similar themes to sort of hoarding the old artifacts.
Okay, let's get back. We're going fast here. If you haven't watched George Webb channel, we're going to bring it back into Ahmedville here with
Peter
Addy.
Or his dad.
What's
Were
that?
Were they in Isfahan?
Oh yeah, that's the whole Bell helicopter.
You got to tell the Vietnam to Isfahan story of the helicopters is important.
Yeah. I won't do it on the map, but after the war was over in '75, and even before that, huge numbers of Huey helicopters and also the Chinooks also came to Isfahan because the Rockefellers didn't want to send those back to the United States. supposedly they were all scuttled
so many
into
deaths,
the
too.
South
I
China
think
Sea. But they kept them as a deployment force, as a rapid deployment force. You see this in the Valkyrie song in the film Apocalypse Now, right? This is the fast cavalry to come in and create havoc and clear an economic road, clear an economic corridor, like the Chinese Belt and Road, like the pearl necklace of our good friend,
and like a green zone,
of our good friend here, Hunter Biden.
Green zones. What were you saying, Dave?
Green Zones was a one of the FIG Group's investments, I believe.
Flint Intel Group was invested in DARPA developed technology for a smart card that you could put in an Android phone to give you a private enclave, a secure enclave, a military grade encryption enclave to do these kind of operations. So where are we at, Addy? Bring us back to reality here on the Belt and Road, on the Hunter Biden pearl necklace route.
Sure, yeah. Well, we're live here, people. Got a new setup. We got the webcam that shows the wide view, and then we got George's cam as well. So we're just testing out new setups here, live at the neighborhood.
Do we get a new visitor there down on the bottom? Caveman?
K-Man, no devices connected. Yeah, if you guys want to join the lobby, make sure you have your mic and or camera connected, at least your mic, so we can hear you if you guys do want to talk.
I like the idea of putting the camera on because
yeah,
we can see them first, and at least we have facial recognition on who's doing the death threats if that's what's happening. So yeah,
so if you don't have at least a mic on or any devices connected, I'm just gonna kick you from the studio because I think there's a max to how many people can join. So if someone does want to join,
see Addy kicking
your Twitter, you put out the link, right, George?
Yeah. Now, who was that one that came in? Was she? Is that Kyra that now is gone? That second one?
That I just kicked? Or?
No, the one between the one I'm pointing at.
Oh, this is actually the map. So
okay.
Doing before.
I got you.
And that's one thing too is like this seems way long, like 13 hours and 20 minutes from Okinawa to China.
That must be walking or swimming because that's not that far.
Terminology's not wrong too. The string of pearls is the
string of pearls. I'm not. Look at that. That's the diplomat. The maritime Silk Road versus the string of pearls. Could you read that article, Dave?
Sure. So this is an article from 2014 from the Diplomat. The maritime Silk Road versus the string of pearls. China's vision for maritime Silk Road updates and clarifies its interest in the string of pearls. Gamini Lakshman, Sri Lanka's Minister of External Affairs, is in China this week, where he met with Foreign Minister Wang Yi and Vice President Li Wanchao. According to the statement from China's Foreign Ministry, the leaders agreed to fully expand maritime cooperation and jointly build the maritime Silk Road of the 21st century. The maritime Silk Road concept first emerged during President Xi Jinping's first trip to Southeast Asia last October. The proposal, raised during a speech to the Indonesian parliament, called for increased maritime cooperation between China and the ASEAN countries. As such, the maritime Silk Road would have both diplomatic and economic components. Yang Baoyun, a professor of Southeast Asian studies at Peking University, told China Daily that the new maritime Silk Road will bring tangible benefits to neighbors along the route and will be a new driving force for the prosperity of the entire East Asia region. I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, well, I think this is an interesting thing because I was on with Kirsten W., who is a China speaker, and
ASEAN is that's one that we need to look up though, because that was the so it is a maritime cooperation between China.
It's AE. It begins with the phrase AE.
ASEAN countries. So I don't know what the definition of that is, but that's something to know.
Could you pull ASEAN countries, not Asian, but ASEAN?
It's not. Yeah, they don't spell it like that. So
ASEAN.
The link in the chat to join the StreamYard lobby. If anybody wants to do that, you just click on the link.
What countries are those, Dave's in ASEAN?
So here it is. So it's
This is AS, not Asian. IAN, but EAN. Okay.
ASEAN.
Like A and Sean.
Yeah, it is an intergovernmental organization of 10 Southeast Asian countries Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam.
Okay, and this is what I was told by a couple of other folks that Trump is trying to, I don't want to say queer the deal, but he's sort of working with Xi, who's not a Communist Party insider. Okay, and Xi is saying, hey, these guys, this Himalayan faction of the Chinese party, that again go back to these Nazi roots and all that, that their funding and intelligence network was kind of crafted by the latter day folks up there in the Himalayas. They have this string of pearls idea, and this new economic corridor that Trump and Xi are talking about is going to be more and above the board. Now, that's just what I heard. That's just what Kirsten told me, but Charlie Ward also had kind of chimed in and said, yeah, that's right. And I don't know enough about this. I don't know who the CCP, if they're really from Malaysia or not.
And we got Deborah Johnson. Are you? Looks like I'm trying to add you here, but give us a sec. I don't see you there, Deborah. But George is just showing the map.
Allow your microphone, Deborah, and we'll be able to see. I think I hear her.
Okay, so let me get rid of this comment so we can see the map better.
But see, that's like the old Seattle Alliance. This was the old Southeast Armor, the Treaty Alliance. That's why these things I say are so bound to NATO and Seattle. They're just new names for these same old groups of generals that are trying to outsource their DARPA, stuff and run these operations. I think this flies in the face of all the stands. This is a different trade bloc than.
This is going to be the maritime route. So it's obviously going to have its roots with British East India Company. I mean, Harvey Schlanger was talking about that with John, how, Britain is sort of their power has always come from their Navy and their the East India Company, and the land routes being sort of the foil to them and their rival historically. So, I feel like there is going to be partnerships, and competing interests for the different routes, but it is the old trade routes that are just being modified.
Is string of pearls something Trump wants and that Hunter Biden didn't want versus economic corridor? What's the land route and the water route?
I even think of going back to the atomic bomb and how we kind of privatized the nuclear navy with the submarines and the carriers using the naval fuel rods, and then sort of having Bill Taylor's Army group, creating these package reactors for.
See, that's where I say Bob Alinsky is, because he's a nuclear guy, and the string of pearls are a string of small nuclear reactors.
Well, I think that's what the fighting is over. I think it's over the Army versus the Navy, like going back with obviously like the East India Company really partnering with the naval side of things. Again, just these kind of old groups that, have, ties, deep ties, but also rivalries in there. And, everyone else.
And Aaron Adler, just for Aaron Adler has no relation to the Rabbi Adler that was shot in the face a couple of blocks away.
Guns N' Roses drummer either. There's another Adler. I feel like there's famous Adlers out there. Yeah.
So a lot of people are saying he's related to the rabbi that was shot in the face over there. And
he said he wasn't. It's the same name, and he said he did. He was.
But it was a Mossad kind of.
He was bar mitzvahed at the same temple, so there is that connection there too. But he did say he was not related to them. So
okay, all right. So just so you don't think this is a Mossad operation, we don't have the black card. We don't have the uranium card, the plutonium card, the Neptunium card.
I wish we did, George.
I wish we did. Yeah, we'd live a lot better.
Still in the chat box, if people want to join. I saw Deborah join for a second there. It looks like she might have had some connection issues, but free to join if anybody wants to talk to us and you want to show your face or not. You can just turn your camera off and keep your mic on, but we do like it if people have their cameras on.
Well, one of the things I wanted to do here at the Swing States newsroom was actually go across and do the actual string of pearls all the way across for you so that you'd have an easy reference. And so I'm going to go ahead and start the string of pearls over there on the east coast of China. That over there, that doorway over there, I'm going to start is going to be China, 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 the east coast of China, China, China. And I'm going to go ahead and write that in as our first pearl on the string of pearls. And hopefully by the time 8 o'clock rolls around and Bob Alinsky is on tonight with the CEFC, we'll all be able to know the 5 or 6 key strings, whether it's an LNG port and it's water, or whether it's by land. Here we go with Paula Revere again. 1 it by land, 2 it by sea. Is it both? We don't know. We need to learn more. Dave, go ahead. Can you hold this for him, Tom? And
I'm just
make
learning about
you
the string of pearls.
I'm gonna go. I feel I have enough information to add the first Hunter Biden pearl in his pearl necklace.
So this is a ceremonial pearl adding for the first time.
Pearl adage.
Pearl adage, the Belt and Road Initiative map that we got going on here.
Okay.
So you can see George Webb in the background there.
Okay.
Here's some. If you want to,
Oh, I got the
We need a better marker.
And if people want to join,
there's kind of a cartoon version of the string of
the
pearls. But with the major cities in this string of pearls being Djibouti, Kenya, Tanzania, Pakistan, Oman, Seychelles Islands, Maldives, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. Those were the cities that were listed on the
All right.
China string of pearls.
Let's make the first pearl. Remember, this is Hunter Biden's string of pearls, right? So what is its H? Was Z H E J I A
NG.
N G,
That's I think,
right?
I
And
think
that's
that's
the
right.
province, and there was blue sky, right?
Yeah.
It's
And then what else do we have here for this port? The guy whose name was Eric Yuan,
Yep.
right?
Eric Yuan, Yuan, and Ningbo, I guess is the city that's closest. Ningbo.
N-I-N-G
B-O.
B-O.
Yep. So that'd be, I guess, the city, and the Zhejiang is the province, and this is the LNG terminal in China.
I'm going to go ahead and make a swing state newsroom decision and erase these great interviews. We want to interview Edmund Black, Mark Skidmore, Ryan Dawson, Sibel Edmonds, Amazing Polly, and Cynthia McKinney. So we're going to commit that to memory. I'm going to erase that. We're going to bring in, just write everything we know. I'm going to write everything we know right here. This is your first string of pearls for Hunter Biden.
Awesome. So I'm going to type it out, what George just typed. So Zhejiang is the province, and the city.
So let's capture everything we learned about the first string of pearls and the Hunter Biden string of pearls for this economic corridor. And
this is a pretty good summary.
Fortis, I remember hearing Fortis was a name, right?
Let me read this because this gives the
Sure.
6 corridors. So the first official announcement in 2013, the BRI references to land routes through Eurasia. It's divided into 6 corridors, including Mongolia, Russia, Eurasian Land Bridge, which is Russia to Europe, Indochina, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, which is CPEC, and the Central Asia, West Asia. From an energy perspective, this would primarily encompass oil and gas imports by pipeline from Russia and Central Asia. The road element of the initiative covers maritime routes through the Indian Ocean to East Africa and throughout the Suez Canal to Europe. The tanker-borne deliveries of oil and LNG, mostly from Middle East and eventually from East Africa, Mozambique and Tanzania for LNG, Uganda, and perhaps Kenya for oil. China has several motives for launching the BRI, which includes deploying its vast foreign exchange holdings constructively, encouraging new economic growth, creating demand for Chinese products and services, building geopolitical influences in key locations, strengthening and streamlining trade routes, and as a way to protect access to vital raw materials, including energy. So those are the kind of the corridors, just organizing everything. So again, it is this, multi-continental project. It's just, it's a huge thing to take by itself. So you have to kind of break it down and learn about its parts so you can really understand the whole picture.
Yeah, you got to look at it in terms of steps, would you say? Look at the legs, the shore legs.
Look at the legs, because there's going to be different partners that are doing these deals, obviously with the different corridors and the different countries involved. So, it is a complex issue to understand. So I'm always a visual person. So I love the maps and seeing sort of the different ways that these things play out. So it just makes it easier to sort of understand when you contrast it with the historical trade routes, and we know why they were so important. So it's it's the same idea as now, just a modern version of it.
Yeah, and I think there are going to be as George said, choke points or legs where they're more important, right? Where maybe one or two others may be expendable. There's going to be some key points where they want to hold no matter what to get the the product shipped, right?
So let's do the 6 routes again.
Okay.
I think you said Mongolia, right?
So the 6 land routes are
I'm gonna call that
Mongo, Russia,
Mongo, Russia,
or Russo if you want to.
Mongo, Russo. I like 5-word things.
Mm-hmm.
Mongo, Russo. Okay.
And then the Eurasian land bridge.
Eurasia land bridge. Now this could be a great Jeopardy game.
Mm-hmm.
Eurasia, and I'll call that LB.
The LB, that's
Yeah,
Russia to
LB.
Europe. And then you have Indochina.
Indochina, China, Indo.
China.
There's your Indo, and there's your China. We'll break these into 2 parts. We'll break all these things into 2 parts. Dave, hit me with another one.
Bangladesh, India.
Bangi. That's Bangi, right?
Or we can make it Bangin, Bangin.
No. Always 5 letters. Always make things 5 letters. People can't remember 6 or 7 letters. Bangi, and what's the Indo? Bangi, Indo?
Bangladesh and India.
India. Okay, India.
The second to last one is Pakistan. That's CPEC.
That one is the Imran one.
That's the Imran.
CPEC. CPEC. Okay, CPEC. Okay.
And the last one is Central Asia to West Asia.
Send west.
C Asia, West W.
C Asia, W Asia. Yeah. C Asia, W Asia. Wow. Okay, we're getting smart about this. C Asia, W Asia.
And those are all the land routes. So that's the belt.
That's the belt. Okay. All right. Let's see what Hunter's doing. All right, we got that. We're gonna keep building our knowledge of what this Belt and Road thing really means. To me, it seems like a big CIA oil deal using CCP.
We haven't even brought up the pearl necklace.
Oh, well, let's
That's
bring it up.
That's the water route.
Bring it. Oh, that's the water route. The pearl.
Yeah, the string of pearls that's the water port cities.
Appreciate it. Wow. See, it's great having another cameraman. I'm telling you what. Everybody here at the Swing State Newsroom is pitching in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the road element is that initiative covers marine routes through the Indian Ocean to East Africa, through the Suez Canal to Europe. Mostly from the the LNG and oil is mostly from the Middle East and eventually East Africa.
So is this really a 6? It's like 6 straws. Remember when you used to have, when people didn't share food, like they did at Shin Chen on Chi, the super spreader called. Remember they had 6 straws going into the milkshake? This is the opposite, right? Well, I guess it isn't. The CIA, in concert with Steve Bannon's communist buddies, Quack, are doing 6 straws, milkshake straws, to get all the oil possible and then pipe it out to their port. It's just a big looting operation is what it looks like. I mean,
yeah, I feel like
that's why Bannon's involved in
I
this.
feel like we all need to see There Will Be Blood again. I feel like that was the whole point of that story was
Can you remind everybody about the milkshake story?
I feel like it's the most famous.
I drink your milkshake.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
And sadly,
Can
that
you
is,
explain how that relates to the oil business when you say I drink your milkshake with my straw? I put it in your milkshake.
Well, there's rules of property ownership and eminent domain, and these are all issues that have to do with mineral and mining rights, with land, agricultural rights. So we do these surveys to figure out who gets what, and if you have the technology to covertly dip into somebody else's stuff and take it, that's what happens.
And pump it to your port.
And pump it to your port. And they have these systems, designed. They've been doing it since they've been harvesting resources, I feel like.
And so China is the big customer here, and Baku is the big source. It reminds me so much of going back to the Rockefellers and the White Russians. It's always Baku.
We were just at the Caspian Sea. I mean, Aaron brought the map out so we could see the Baku and what the big prize was.
Yeah,
the straw. This is a big straw. The Chinese
straw.
Yeah, it's a China straw. It's a China straw. Cheap straw, but it is Ross Perot's giant sucking sound.
We need a slurping sound here.
Slurping sound. We need a slurping sound because what it appears that Bannon's Chinese intel contacts have done, along with CIA, is to take the big straw this way, the economic corridor. You need a Sinohawk though. You need a Sinohawk to watch it like the hawk, right?
Eye in the sky.
The Sinohawk is really the Sino straw, right? And you take all the stuff from all the stands, just like Deep Uranium said. You use the uranium small reactors to power this thing, and out it goes. You get all this here. You get the Iranian oil with all the contacts the Strucks have. Out it goes through Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan. You pick up Kazakhstan in a feeder and Kyrgyzstan in a route. And then you're right on out to our good port over here. This is why it was the first port, right? Right. And you spin it all as a big economic development thing, when in actual fact, it's a big Chinatown deal. This is Chinatown. Remember Chinatown, guys? Was about.
Is this what's happening?
Yeah. You remember Chinatown? You guys remember Chinatown? You remember Chinatown, which was about the giant sucking sound for the water. This is just the giant sucking sound for the oil. That's all it is. There we go.
And wow, news YouTube. I think it will be interesting. I will check that out, Mr. Gant. Aaron Adler is wondering. Well, what he said.
No, nothing's better than this right now. The world, nothing is better than this action happening right here, because we're actually figuring it out. We're taking live news right now with Gateway Pundit, and they're not even in the same hemisphere yet, right?
Still on crack pipes right now.
Yeah, they're still talking about crack pipes and how this is the spy
abusing children, adult children being abused.
It's not about that. It's about the giant sucking sound. Can we get the giant sucking sound one more time? Yeah, because look at the map. Look at the map.
See the map.
See the map. See the Sino straw.
Oh boy.
The giant sucking sound.
Getting to the end here.
There it is. There it is. And just
sometimes you run out.
And Deep Uranium, I think, was right about the small reactors, because think of them as coffee makers for the fracking. And now the fracking is the new technology here. And using the small reactors, you can heat up the water supply of a small city for fracking. So it makes sense that Bill Taylor is the guy who's talking to me, or his brother, somebody who's or his cousin, but somebody who looks an awfully lot like him. And he's saying there's a string of pearls. Only they're small reactors. So there you go. What does Connie say about Bangladesh?
New naval bases in Bangladesh, Burma, Pakistan, Sri Lanka. Port places largely forgotten by the West, but only too keen to accept Chinese largesse.
And you get the feeling that Bannon is doing all the intermediary work with his criminal friend Kwok, who's a billionaire. How did he get to be a billionaire? Right? With his Macau. That's the kickbacks. You launder the money, the kickbacks through the Macau casinos, like we said. Did you see the Bannon film with Kwok out in front of Lady Liberty and how
in the boat?
Yeah, in the boat. Did you see that? How he was going to bring the whole newsroom?
Was this when he got arrested on the yacht or whatever?
A couple days ago. Before, or a few days before he got arrested. Like, I watched it. It was crazy.
It was Kwok though, standing right next to him. Yeah,
right. It was on the big yacht.
The big yacht,
152 footer.
Yeah.
There you go. And Kwok, and I think the reason they were out there 12 miles away was jurisdiction, right?
Well,
don't you think?
I mean, they were close into New York at the time. And the weird thing I thought about, it was like getting dark. It was like, why do you think of this like an hour or two before?
Because I think Bannon was smart enough to get in and get out.
Yeah.
You notice how all these guys that are part of Belt and Road are all in Indonesia? You notice how they always push out their videos.
Or Maldives, too. I feel like they'd like to go there.
Maldives is another place the Clintons had. But Bannon, I think, is Indonesia. He's down there with Patrick Byrne in Indonesia hiding out. But we'll
see Bannon this?
Well, when's the last appearance you saw him make in the United States?
I can't recall. I know Byrne was out of the country, though.
Byrne was in Indonesia when he made the call into Jason. Byrne wouldn't know Jason, but Bannon would. Bannon would know Jason. So, yeah, there you go.
Patrick took the money and ran, didn't he?
Come on, take the money and run. Yeah, yeah.
But he wasn't the one that
Seems
found
like-
the 20 million Bitcoin laptop. That's my favorite. I like the money maker laptop's my favorite over the
Charles Johnson.
compromise. Yeah.
Charles Johnson. Yep.
Yep.
Chuck Johnson. There you go, Chuck. A shout out to you and your magical $20 million Bitcoin laptop. Okay.
Lucky day.
Here's the tonic. Adelson is looking to buy Las Vegas casinos. I wonder which China company will buy them. Yeah, you can come up with all these different front companies. What I like is, do you think Hunter recorded this thing with all the F-bombs in it and everything to throw everybody off to the port over there? Because he knew we'd be able to figure this out really quickly. Eric Yuan and the
I don't think about ports when I see the foot massage techniques or whatever. I mean, I'm not.
But that's not what the tape says. The tape says Chinese spy chief.
Oh,
It
right.
says Ho is a Chinese spy chief. He's not talking about the foot massages and the red toenail polish.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you think he would expect that this all would come out about the Belt and Road? I don't know.
I mean, I feel like the stories are so crazy. There has to be a good reason why they go through all this trouble to, try to promote all this stuff and suppress people trying to figure out what's really going on. So there has to be a big answer to it. So,
this
pretty
this blue sky, this Beijing blue sky is actually based in Hong Kong. This has to be Kwok. Bannon has to be putting together the consortium for all these CIA guys for their slug in the deal, right? And it's China SAM, a National High Tech Enterprise, and then Sino Energy Corp. And then you give the Navy guys the Sino Hawk, for watching the corridor. I think it's this blue sky. I think this Beijing, and remember the gas that comes up in this sulfurous type ground like we're on now is off gases. They used to burn that stuff off. As a matter of fact, if you go by Toledo refining, you can see it being burned off. Right over when my video was killed.
Right.
You could see it being burned off, and they're using these old railway right of ways for the pipelines. And these guys know where the railway is, and it's supposed to be a big railway and deal, right? So they just use that for the giant sucking sound, for the giant straw, the Sino straw,
The Sino straw.
the Sino Hawk, the Sino straw, the Sino railroad, the Sino road, right?
There will be Sino straws.
There will be Sino straws. So have we got it, Dave? You want to do your string of pearls?
I'm just learning about the Kwok brothers right now. I don't know anything about them really, other than that they're Hunter's partner. But very interesting reading about the Kwoks, trying to figure out what their background is, because they seem to be key players from the Asian perspective of these deals. So, a lot of characters to learn. But
do you think he said Ho because we know Ho isn't the China spy chief? Do you think they put that out there to protect Kwok? Because we know Kwok is the China spy chief, not Ho. Ho is a kind of he's a bag man. I mean, he's not the China spy chief.
I honestly feel like I don't have that much understanding of the Chinese intelligence services, but I'm always willing to learn and try to figure out who these guys are. So
By bagman, you mean like middleman?
Yeah, just like, hey, we're going to have you sit here, and we're going to put a Carcano by you, and you're going to hear 3 shots, and there's going to be a presidential limousine go by, and we just wanted to make sure you put your hands on the gun with this indelible ink, and make sure you pull the trigger 3 times and shoot, errantly. It's kind of like a setup man. You're going to be the guy holding the bag at the end of the day. He's the guy in prison. Ho's the guy in prison, right? So why would Hunter Biden implicate this guy? I'd say what an interesting search would be is Eric Yuan and Blue Sky Energy, right? Right. So this here is saying,
Let me pull this up.
Beijing gas, Blue Sky.
I pull stuff up about 4 hours a day.
this is interesting. So the Kwoks, they have this Sun Hung Kai Properties. When they were, the group was one of many non-British owned companies that overtook the British trading companies, or Hongs, that dominated the financial order in Hong Kong prior to 1997. So Hong is, ties right into the East India Company. That was the kind of the arrangements they had in the port cities for as far as doing their business dealings with which types of merchandise they were carrying. So it looks like this Kwok group, these guys were basically took over kind of the role of that historic Hong Kong being the trading port.
That makes a lot of sense
Yeah.
because these things being dealt with out of Shanghai and Singapore and Hong Kong, these are the old British trade protectorates.
Mm-hmm.
So what Dave's saying, I think, is that this deal seems like a recapitulation of those old trade deals with the old British Empire,
Right,
under a new auspice.
Under the new,
auspice,
like getting rid of sort of having the colony city or of Hong Kong and it becoming part of China. I know that we had the crazy story with the girl that had the that was murdered by her boyfriend with the extradition that was supposed to be the pretext that started the Hong Kong protests, and that was over extradition between Hong Kong and Macau, which we were talking about, and also Taiwan being sort of the more historic, the older.
Kolomoisky sprang the protesters in Hong Kong.
Kolomoisky was in there. He was sending his neo-Nazi brigades into, to protect the interests of Hong Kong people, which is always was an interesting.
Let everybody see who Yuan is, and the fact he is the guy with Zoom. A lockdown, an Operation Lockdown, would make Zoom tremendously wealthy. So he certainly has incentive for doing the coronavirus spraying. Remember, check your air filters. If Imran Awan installed your air filter at G4S in your government building, you probably got coronavirus from there. There's Yuan, right there. He is.
Weird looking dude.
Yeah, he's. There's some plastic surgery there.
Look at those eyebrows on him.
Yeah, there's some plastic surgery. He looks like Mao Zedong. Remember, Mao Zedong had those shoe polish eyelashes. I think that's Mao's kid. Look at him. Zoom CEO. Can you get one of his articles up?
Yeah, let me do that. I'm going to pull that up.
There's Mao for people that don't remember him.
Everybody remembers Mao.
Yeah, we all know Mao.
But it's called a coronavirus proof application. Well, I guess it is. I'm a customer of them. I have standing. Now I can sue them. So here we go. Valuation is sky high, blue sky.
The U.S. government's using Zoom, through all the school stuff and all the court system, even.
Right.
And it's not secure. They first when
right.
it came out, they said this is not secure. The Zoom stuff, so that
Dmitry Alperovich backdoor.
Well, the reason, and so the thing is so they're using the court system so anybody can be in the courtroom. I mean, you don't have 40 people or 30 people. You could have 100 or 1,000, whoever signed in to watch the court proceedings, believe it or not.
And another issue too was they were trying to get people to agree to take medical analysis. Telemedicine. That was an issue. Also with the TikTok being this big topic about who should buy it. I feel like Trump was kind of getting involved and sort of trying to steer it. So again, these with these the ideas of changing culture by having people remotely logging in or taking services, what legally is binding over a video conference versus in person. All these issues I feel like are kind of snuck in there with
look at Google's Alphabet.
Wacky,
did you see that
TikTok videos with Kellyanne's daughter?
The management team is led by Google alums, right? Eric Yuan,
Cisco alums, including CEO founder Eric Yuan, CFO Kelly Steckelberg. Zoom has taken on Cisco Systems, WebEx, Microsoft, Skype, Alphabet's Google Hangouts, privately held Blue Jeans, and a host of other rivals. It expects to have twice as much revenue this fiscal year as it had in the year that ended in January.
So I think this is definitely the play here. This is the spy chief is going to be Yuan, I believe, not or Bannon's contact to Yuan, who it's not going to be Ho. Ho is a distraction. He's a bag man. It's going to be Yuan, the billionaire, the richest man in the world,
Google
Okay.
Hangouts, is that limited Hangouts or full Hangouts at Google? I feel
Limited
like I feel like
Hangouts.
limited Hangout is a favorite recipe that they like.
That's
to mix
Google
up.
limited Hangouts. Do you think people were backdooring that, and Dmitry Alperovich backdoors and all those Google Hangouts?
I mean, I don't know. I don't have the personal experience with Dmitry like you do, but just from what I've read, it seems like he, came in to save the day with the DNC. He was able to identify the hackers within 5 minutes and, call the case when it seems like the robber.
This includes instant messaging technology like Slack has in their work product, and also the Microsoft Teams thing. So you can,
which is where our buddy, the beautiful DJ Beauty was one of the initial launchers of that. It was what was her
DJ
name?
Beauty.
She was the girl. She was the wife of the guy in Ukraine that was that was trying to suppress the Joe Biden. She was the one that was what was her name? Nastia,
yeah.
But
Nastia was married to the guy who came up with the Trump dossier.
But she, when we were first looking into her, she was somebody that was kind of this celebrity that they were using to try to promote this new Microsoft product. It's just a name I wasn't familiar with it. She was.
You see how they're taking over and moving into Cisco's Jabber space? Remember Julian Assange when Dom Scheit gives him the phone to as the caboose man? I'm going to call that the caboose man from now on. The last person in the train that you give the phone to, and then you cut the caboose away and say, "There he is. He's over there."
You want to be in the bar car.
You want to be in the bar car.
He's getting further away.
He's getting further away by the second. There he goes. There he goes, Julian. Oh, there he goes.
Yep.
Yeah, he got the phone. He's got the BlackBerry. Look at him.
Just stuff him in the embassy.
Stuff him in the embassy. There he goes.
Yep.
So I think we might have put a fine point on this. We're probably going to come back this afternoon. This is Addy Ads, and I'm all of a sudden his live stream, and I'm emceeing now. But I think what we should do is consolidate what we know, and then we'll come back a little bit later this afternoon with our additional research. We'll look at the comments. And what do you think, Addy?
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan, George. It'll give us a bit of downtime to refuel, get some food, water, get some reading done, and focus our thoughts here a little bit. But a lot of new information, new big player, Mr. Yuan here that we're learning about. Zoom, it's been pretty much a part of everybody's lives since the start of this pandemic. It's kind of been hiding in plain sight in many ways. But really great live stream, over 2 hours here, people. No notification was sent out, I was told. I'm just going to recap. This man here, he's now known as
Deep journalist. Deep journalist.
Deep journal. Or
Okay.
Deep journalist.
Either one. Journalist. Either one. But
journal.
we're trying to avoid the AI. Everyone said you can't beat Google AI, so we're not going to try to beat Google AI. We're going to just go with deep journalist when you want to say George Webb, so he doesn't get struck down.
Yeah, so we'll go deep journal. Just we're going to see if we can keep this channel going as long as possible. So keeping George's name out of that is basically I'm trying to take all of George's work and co-opt it as my own. That's the big play here, George.
There you go. Well, thank God
NATO.
NATO. Thank God NATO at least sent their best guy. Here he is over with Lee Harvey Oswald. He's working in the Lee Harvey Oswald Memorial Atsugi U2 hangar over there. And everywhere we go, Uzbekistan. Well, yeah, I was in Uzbekistan for a while. I mean, I can't say how long.
How involved
it was classified. Yeah.
But we want to know who the big guy is. We want to know who H is. We want to know who Hunter's best friend that screwed him over, Eric, is. We want to know those characters.
I can figure it out.
Well, don't you think? I mean, here's Tucker Carlson. I mean,
we got to see tonight.
You've got to ask this question. Tell me about Eric Yuan. I mean, they're going to have. I mean, this is out there now, so they got to deal with this thing, right?
We need to get a hold. We need to get a hold of Tucker this afternoon and say, "Hey,
he already knows."
I love the name.
About asking about the question.
Yeah. I can't believe that people here on this channel wouldn't be already sending in Fox
texting,
right now.
Yeah. Go ahead and do that.
Tweet at Tucker, guys. Yeah, tweet
at Tucker. Yuan. Zoom. Did Zoom the coronavirus on us to make Zoom the new backdoor, the new Dmitry Alperovich spy backdoor? Yeah, unsecured HTTP.
And they're not scared to tell you that it's unsecured.
Hey, do H.260 and secured or unsecured? Because when I was at Cisco, or when I was dealing with Cisco, they had a video tunneling protocol. But I don't think you're right. I think the H.260 stream is unsecured. Last
They
time I
brag
checked.
about it every time I saw it. They're using it like in the townships in Michigan and all this sort of thing for their township meetings, so that as
talked
many
about
people
that.
can get in as want to. And
we talked
you
about
know,
CenturyLink.
that's what they do, and that's
Cuban
what they're
Brothers.
doing. They're doing it the court system, like you say too.
Yeah,
I know that for a fact. In Wisconsin, also.
And the courts is
So.
big time. The
Oh,
courts
it's,
is big
I
time.
mean,
Oh, Deborah says what time? So are we gonna do a post Bobby Linsky?
Yeah,
stream?
we'll probably do a 9 o'clock Bobby Linsky right after Tucker's over. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
we'll probably do one more before then.
yeah.
Good.
So one at 9 o'clock ish post Bobby Linsky, and
About
then one
5?
Kind of do
Five.
6 o'clock.
Pre-game and
Yeah,
post.
6 o'clock.
around
6
6 o'clock Eastern
Pre-game.
time.
And we may go right up to Bobby Linsky. And then and pre and post. We'll do pre and post. Yeah.
And to Mark Husatonic, we did talk about level 3 and Kiewit and CenturyLink. That was earlier in the talk, but we try to include all the different characters.
Yeah. And okay, I missed the first hour and a half. Go back and watch the first hour and a half. You'll blow your mind. This was not slow at all. This was fast paced, information coming, people looking stuff up. It was going back and forth between the 4 of us, like a ping pong ball. So if you want to get in on the action to stump Tucker and stump Bobby Linsky,
In the Swing State
Stump the Schwab.
Yeah, in the Swing State newsroom right
In the
here.
Swing State
we
newsroom.
throw down
This
here.
is the Schwab right here. Dave's the Schwab. Everybody knows Stump the Schwab. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
I don't know
There's
either.
this TV show it was on ESPN, like the alternative ESPN channel, and they had this dude who just was like an encyclopedia of sports facts.
Oh.
And they'd get a contestant every time. They try to stump the Schwab, and they'd rarely beat him. So we got the Schwab on our side
We're
here.
trying to just break it down to basic parts so that everybody can put it together and
String of pearls. Go
String
back
of pearls.
Go back and look at Hunter's string of pearl. Hunter's pearl necklace is not what you think Hunter's pearl necklace is. Go back in and look to see Hunter's pearl necklace, and it's going to go right across from the Baku straight to the Channel Islands in China.
All right,
Okay.
we're gonna go sign off here, people. Stay frosty. Again, we're doing pregame around 6 p.m. Eastern, post-game around 9 p.m.
Addy,
Eastern.
I have to just ask this, maybe for many people, what's your definition of staying frosty? I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing when I'm getting frosty. So
Yeah, you just you know.
Is it a drinking
sure.
game?
You just
we
stay
had
frosty.
we had a
Does it just
drink.
mean like stay cool, like a snowman kind of deal? Is that where we're going with?
Yeah, it's kind of like stay sharp, stay on your toes, stay vigilant. Yeah.
Search on.
Yeah.
I know some of the rappers like to go with the snowman kind of, as that theme. So
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was a playoff of Frosty the Snowman. but-
Yeah.
Not quite.
Maybe I could do that with a little double entendre going. There you
Okay.
go.
All right. 6 o'clock.
Yeah, we'll see you all then, folks.